Episode 8 of Vikings Valhalla begins with Emma banished and forced back to Normandy. She doesn't have a choice, given Aelfgifu's influence. What is Aelfgifu's plan? The potential coup is not going to go ahead after all, as she's escorted out the room. Aelfgifu agrees not to send the troops to Olaf's aid, but she refuses to divulge their position. Of course, all of this is the doing of Godwin, who continues to spin his political mischief in court. Aelfgifu decides to write to Mercia and convince them to join forces. Which side does Harald fight on? Meanwhile, Harald shows up to see Jarl Kare, warning him that there are armed men and women waiting for him in Kattegat. He makes his decision, and that's to fight alongside his brother. There are a lot of men following Kare, a whole legion of men waiting to attack. However, he's also waiting for Olaf's forces to strengthen. Harald decides to lead a parley to sacrifice Kattegat and allow Håkon to surrender. That way, it won't condemn them to hell. The parley goes about as well as one would expect, as the two groups prepare for the worst. How do Godwin and Emma outsmart Aelfgifu? Aelfgifu shows up at Mercia and presents herself as an advisor in court to represent their troubles and relay that on to the king. She manages to align their causes, and the negotiations are over as quickly as they started. Aelfgifu has been successful. Only, when she returns to London, Emma happens to be on the throne. It turns out, this whole charade was a play to buy them some time to find Aelfgifu's fleet she has hidden. It's worked, they found them, and as a result, her power is gone. Emma is back on the throne, while Aelfgifu is left with nothing. What happens in the battle for Kattegat? Kare's forces mass and march on Kattegat, ready to fight. The shield maidens stay in the battlements, but this attack comes from two sides. The foot soldiers attack on land while Olaf's naval fleet arrives. Trebuchets are there to try and stop their threat, while Kare heads in on foot, intending to kill Freydis and bring her head back as a prize. The thing is, the boats out by the shore are almost completely empty save for a few people. It turns out this was a big coup, orchestrated by Olaf. He used Kare to split the Kattegat forces, deciding to use Harald's emotions against him and hold his forces back on purpose, leaving himself as the most powerful Jarl. Who dies in the battle? What happens to Jarl Kare? In the ensuing skirmish, Håkon is killed, as are a number of the shield maidens. Arn is also killed in the heat of battle, as the gates are breached, and Kare watches from the tower. He notices Håkon being taken away by the shield maidens on a stretcher, and decides to follow with his loyal men. Of course, this is where the last daughter prophecy comes from, the last daughter of Kattegat left. In Håkon's court, Kare decides to fight one-on-one with Freydis for reasons? Anyway, he squares off against her, and meets an untimely fate, stabbed in the stomach and then beheaded. Outside, Harald rides back, is injured, and fights for his life. What happens with Harald and Freydis? Olaf soon shows up to clean house, stabbing Liv and killing her. She asks Leif to follow her to Valhalla before fading from this world. Leif promises to join her in the afterlife as Freydis heads outside and helps a very injured Harald onto a horse to safety. How does Vikings Valhalla end? In the wake of all this, Olaf takes Kattegat for himself and seizes the throne. Only, Forkbeard shows up on the shores with his men, frightening Olaf's forces who run and flee. Olaf is left alone with no support. Realizing Forkbeard is en route, he too turns and runs. As Forkbeard shows up and begins marching through Kattegat, the episode ends with Leif killing several men, enraged over the death of his beloved. The episode last ending explained. So Vikings bows out with an exciting final chapter, full of action, bloodshed and political power plays. It turns out Godwin was working with Emma after all, and this clever switch and bait works to oust Aelfgifu and cement Canute as the ruler of England alongside Emma. The inclusion of Forkbeard is a nice nod to history, while the final battle and the cliffhanger ending set everything up nicely for a second season, which has already been greenlit. However, everything here is left on a precarious knife edge, with the fates of both England and Denmark hanging in the balance. There's a consistency with this story now, and a renewed focus after a bit of a meandering tone for the past 2 or 3 chapters. However, that doesn't come without its contrivances. Why did Kare choose to fight Freydis alone? He literally had men with him, but decides not to fight with them, at least watching from the wings, which seems like an odd move. It's especially strange because Freydis has been ambushed by him several times, each with the riders lying in wait. Maybe it's just me, but this seems like a stretch. It may have been more believable had Harald dispatched those men waiting outside. Kare then asks for support, receives none save for Harald's face, and then Freydis kills him. This series hasn't been entirely historically accurate, and there have been some liberties taken with the real history. Then again, Vikings did that too, so I guess we can't have too many grumbles. Either way though, this was a decent episode and a fitting way to round things out, ready for the next season. Vikings Valhalla Season 2, renewed or cancelled? Created by Jeb Stewart, Vikings Valhalla is a historical drama action-adventure series that serves as a sequel to the popular History Channel show Vikings and takes place 100 years after the original series. As the old pagan faith loses ground to Christianity in Scandinavia, an English king orders the massacre of the Vikings living in his land. The violent and bitter struggle between the Saxons and the people of the North starts anew. Following its premiere, Vikings Valhalla mainly received positive reviews. It garnered much praise for its nuanced narrative, battle scenes, gloomy visual setting, production design, and performances. If you have already binged the first season and want to know whether there will be a season 2, we got you covered. Vikings Valhalla Season 2 release date. Vikings Valhalla Season 1 premiered on February 25, 2022, on Netflix. The first season comprises 8 episodes of 44 to 60-minute runtime each. As far as Season 2 is concerned, here's everything you need to know. In November 2019, it was reported that Netflix had ordered 24 episodes of a sequel series to Vikings. Michael Hurst, the creator of the original series, is one of the executive producers of the sequel. He stated in an interview, "I am beyond excited that we are announcing the continuation of our Viking saga. I know that the millions of our fans across the globe will be thrilled by the belief being shown in our show by MGM and Netflix." Talking about the creator of the spin-off series, Hurst added, "Jeb Stewart, a truly wonderful writer, will bring new storylines and a powerful visceral vision to stories about some of the most famous Vikings known to history." The producers reportedly plan to divide 24 episodes into 3 seasons. The filming for the second season reportedly concluded in November 2021. Stewart mentioned that Vikings Valhalla was always meant to be a multi-seasonal show. "We've got several great characters and we've got stories in different countries and things like that," he told Entertainment Weekly. "I think that you almost need to be able to look over the horizon. When I was out pitching it, I was trying to pitch it as a multi-season thing, because that way I can develop those characters in the storylines over a longer throw. It wasn't like, what can we do with the Vikings this year? Because those characters really do have not just emotional arcs, they have literally historical arcs. You can't just get to theme tomorrow or next year." The creator also revealed that they were already in the pre-production stage for Season 3. Given the positive response the inaugural season of the show has been receiving, there shouldn't be any hurdles preventing the second season from dropping. If everything falls into place, the Vikings Valhalla Season 2 will most likely come out sometime in Q1 2023. Vikings Valhalla Season 2 plot. What can it be about? In the Season 1 finale, Jarl Kare seemingly dies, Kattegat falls. It is revealed that Olaf has intentionally given Harald false information so that the defenders would have to split their forces. Freydis kills Kare and later departs with Harald. With Emma's help, Forkbeard gains control of the Danish fleet and attacks Kattegat, bringing Olaf's brief occupation of the city to a close. Liv passes away in Leif's arms, triggering the berserker within him. The season ends in a cliffhanger as Leif prepares to attack Canut's son, Svein. In Season 2, Leif will probably learn about the boy's identity and try to find his sister and Harald. We might learn more about the last and how that title applies to Freydis. Canute and his family will look for Olaf, while Emma consolidates her power in England.